think it's one thing. If you present other programmes like sport or cookery or whatever it is, I think there needs to be a bit of leeway here. I think there needs to be, you can have a conversation about what he actually said, but should he be allowed to say it? In my opinion, of course, because he's not a news and current affairs presenter.
No, he shouldn't.
And that's what they need to address.
No, he shouldn't be allowed to say that because he also has a responsibility. And remember, he's working for literally, it's pretty much a state-owned broadcaster, right? So why on earth should we be paying for him to give us his opinions? If you want to work for the BBC, that's fine, but you must accept the rule. And if the rule is that they are impartial, then so must you be. If you don't want to work for there are other organisations to work for. Thank you very much, Akil. Really good to talk to you. That's Akil Ahmed. He's a former head of religion and ethics at the BBC and at Channel 4. Right, well, joining me now is former Chief Advisor to Ofcom, Martin Campbell. Martin, thank you very much for joining me. The BBC guidelines, in many respects, seem somewhat almost unworkable in this modern age. Do you think that perhaps they need to have a rethink and that perhaps people like Gary should be able to make comments on political issues?
No, I don't. I couldn't disagree more with your previous guest. The BBC are their own worst enemy. They should have acted well before now. And to say that they're going to work for an agreement with him, I mean, who's employing who here? It's ridiculous. He's paid, what is it, £1.3 million? So
£1.35 million. Yeah.
Right. Whether people like it or not, I don't care whether he's a freelance or not. He's getting that money from the BBC, and the BBC is the state broadcaster, and therefore, as the highest paid person there, he is the face of the BBC. And why they've hesitated, I really don't know.
Well, it feels like, I mean, I'm just putting it out there that I don't understand why they would hesitate. They didn't hesitate with me. When I said something they didn't like, they told me in no uncertain terms. Then when I did something again that they didn't like, they told me again. And I knew I was on, I thought to myself, I need to leave because I am somebody who cannot sit there with no opinion, which is why I'm not there. And I'm very proud and grateful to be here where I can have an opinion. But he is there, we're paying for him. And I'm with you. I don't see why he should be allowed and why they've taken so long. In terms of Ofcom don't really have any jurisdiction, do they, with regard to social media? Do they have any at all at the moment?
No, but it may change. Whether they have some, but they don't have jurisdiction over this. They may, depending on how the online safety bill pans out, they may have some sort of say over that. But the BBC is being brought more and more under Ofcom, and either the BBC is impartial or it isn't. I don't see what difference it makes that Gary Lineker also earns money from other people. The fact of the matter is he's paid an absolute fortune because of a system that will send people to prison if they don't pay it. And this is no way to spend the money, to try and say we'll reach an agreement with him. You either employ him and tell him what to do, or you don't employ him.
And I like your comment that who's employing who here, because I have no idea why they're dilly-dallying about it. I mean, he's clearly breached the guidelines. I mean, in your view, you must be quite well aware of the guidelines. So if there was to be one that you would pick that he's breached, what would be the breach?
Well, just strict impartiality. If we are to take things that Tim Davie has said as gospel. He has said, if the BBC stands for anything, it stands for impartiality. So he is just making a monkey of the BBC by saying, it doesn't frighten me to be suspended by the BBC. Well, if I'd earned millions of pounds over the year, I wouldn't be that bothered about whether I was going to be suspended or not. I mean, the whole thing sounds ridiculous, but what it's doing is also effectively weaponising all the MPs who've got it in for the BBC. It's handing them the weapons to shoot. They are their own worst enemy.
It seems just incredible that they would allow him to even consider that he would present Match of the Day on Saturday. I did slightly laugh. I think that's not going to happen. Well, listen, Martin, thank you very much for joining me. That is, of course, Martin Campbell.
You're welcome.
Lovely to talk to you. He's the former